What is going on, everybody? It is episode 937 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. We are back once again. I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Happy Friday, and hello to all of you who might be joining that I told to subscribe last night on Timcast IRL. And I'm not certain of this, but I believe the last time that we had Seamus on the show might have been the day that Roe v. Wade was overturned.
It was.
Was that the exact date?
Yep.
No
Well, you're
way.
back.
Hey, I'm happy to be back. Hopefully something else awesome happens today.
What would that be?
It's gonna be underwhelming in comparison, but that's fine.
True, yeah.
That was a big day.
We
That
get a
was big
federal
day.
ban today.
You know
and it
what?
just takes everyone by surprise.
The Pendragon trailer.
There you go.
There we
Yeah.
go.
You know, early days in Timcast, I went with Seamus to the March for Life, and
That's
I
right.
filmed it.
Is
before I
that
was
still
around.
online?
I
Do we
don't
still have
know.
that
It was
somewhere?
so long ago. It was
I really
2021.
appreciated that, man. That was a solid. We traveled like an hour for that, and you filmed everything. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
What
that
a
was
throwback.
Early days of
An
like,
eye-opening. You know, it really expanded your horizons.
it did in a lot of ways. I was like, wow, they're like kids, like they're like young adults and kids, and it wasn't all old people, which is what somebody like me would have assumed.
Well, this is funny. One of my first lessons in media optics was when I was in third grade, and my family and I were protesting at Christ Hospital because they were performing abortions at Christ Hospital. And so there was media, and as a naive little 10-year-old, I was like, oh, what if we're on camera? What if we're on the news? That would be so cool. And my dad was like, no, they're only gonna talk to old people. And lo and behold, they only interviewed the old people there.
Would
And
they have let you do the interview?
Can you
your
imagine?
Parents, would
Like,
they have been okay with that?
Oh, that's a good question. I imagine not, but I don't know.
Man, if only that footage existed somewhere.
You know what? When I was 10, I did write a letter to George W. Bush telling him to
Oh.
invade Ireland and get the Muslims out, and I actually still think I have it somewhere.
That's sick.
I'm not kidding. Like, I'm not
Did he
joking.
reply?
Yeah, I got a reply from the White House.
That's awesome.
It was like one of those boilerplate letters with his signature on it, but I swear I still have
I
that
wrote
somewhere.
to
like the
George
public-
H.W. and got a reply.
Oh my gosh, what did you
for,
say?
It was like a school report that I was doing on him. Yeah. He replied. I don't know.
I mean, that was
He
like
I don't
probably
remember what he said.
that's the
but he was
media version
nice.
of the auto pen back then.
Yeah,
friend.
he probably doesn't get that much fan mail. He might
Before
have
I
wrote it by hand.
forget, $20 super chat from Shane H. Wilder. Happy Friday, Brett, Mary, and Seamus. Mea culpa, Seamus. Mary's coffee ad has outdone yours. I guess people prefer Mary poisoning me over you turning my shredded wheat into Lucky Charms and replacing my spoons with potatoes.
I'm sorry that you hate me.
I have put a poll up, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat today. I asked you what is the best kitchen utensil, spoons or forks?
It's obviously forks.
Spoons are winning right
To
now.
me, it's just strange to have that strong of an opinion on cutlery, on kitchen utensils.
Spoons are just like too much metal, you know?
Yeah.
Gives me the heebie-jeebies just thinking about it.
Yeah, but you can't have soup with a fork. That's the tough thing.
You can just drink it out of the
The
bowl.
real
That's why they
drawback. That's a
invented the
fair point,
spork.
actually.
That's what I do.
That's why they made the spork. Guys,
spork.
we have a bunch of stuff to talk about today, so hit the like button on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share this episode and all the segments out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, people in your life that you both love and hate, because I know that you want to argue with people that you don't like about the content that we make. I can see it down in the comments, so you should go ahead and do that. And remember to just, the more you share it out, the faster this channel can grow. So what are we getting into today? Well, last night I put up a post on X with the release of the Daily Wire's Pendragon Cycle trailer for their upcoming limited series. We are going to watch that trailer. I'm going to get first reactions from both Mary and Seamus, and then we're going to have a discussion about, what that means, because it kind of folds into Seamus and his work making new media for people that don't want to just go back to the same companies time and time again. So we're going to get into all of that. We're going to talk about the Passion of the Christ, which is, of course, going through recasting right now because they realized in the year 2025 that Jim Caviezel is too old to play Jesus. That is shocking, but
I just would have preferred for them to keep him and de-age him.
I agree.
If they could make it look good, I would agree.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what if they just did it and just didn't address it?
Yeah.
Just didn't address that he
Just
looks
do it
different.
really badly.
So, okay, we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Taylor Swift, secret Nazi? We'll give you the evidence. Perhaps. You decide. We'll let you know. So we're going to talk about it.
Wait,
We're also
hold on. Taylor Swift is secret about being a Nazi?
Well, we're going to find out. There's
She hasn't
dog
always
whistles.
been.
Allegedly?
There's
Yeah.
allegedly Taylor Swift secret Nazi dog whistling merchandise. So we're going to talk about that.
No
We're also
way.
going to follow these 4 women that Mary found this article about. These women who said that red pill content destroyed their relationships. That's shocking as well.
Yeah.
Also, if you didn't ever know what it was like to be in the middle of Christian music beef, we're going to bring you into that as well, because Jelly Roll and
Yeah.
Forrest Frank, if those names mean anything to you, are
We live
beefing.
in such unserious times.
Yes, because they are beefing over Forrest Frank's refusal to show up to a Christian music. What was it? It's an award
award
show.
show, yeah.
We got that. We got more stuff.
Well,
If you guys,
I just want to throw this out there. If you're Catholic, you can't beef on Friday.
oh, well, yeah, they're not going to do that.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice one.
they can only get along
Thank
today.
you.
They have to hang it up on Friday.
Well,
they can get back to it on
No
Saturday.
beef.
Guys, you might remember us talking about Forrest Frank for the first time when Brett was out of
I was
town
out
on
of
his
town.
honeymoon, and I was just dunking on this guy because, I mean, the shtick of being a modern day 2025 worship music pop artist is so inauthentic on all sides. I don't even know if they're beefing or if it's some sort of psyop behind the scenes. They're trying to make us think that they're beefing for clout.
I saw his channel. It's exactly like, look, as somebody who is now like gone to church, like I said, I've been to church with Olivia and her family at a Christian church, and his music is exactly the type of music that I would expect to hear during.
it's so chuggy.
I look, that one song that's really famous,
Is it Your Way
Way's
is
Better,
Better?
is extremely catchy. So whoever wrote that is good at their job. I don't know if
Forrest
he wrote
Frank.
it.
We have another 20. The John Falcone channel said, donate to Twisted Plots. I think we can get it
Thank you.
funded by Thanksgiving. Let's go.
I do have that pulled up here. So it's in the description for this video today, and Seamus is going to get a chance to talk more about it, but you can donate, and you go over to freedomtunes.com/twistedplots. It's in the description box of this video, so you
Here
should
on
check that out.
PCC, we shill for you.
Thank you.
We do the shilling on your behalf.
So we will get into it. If you guys are ready, we can go. Mary, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Seamus?
Yeah, for Twisted Plots to explain what I'm doing.
We're gonna go right
We'll
to
get into
Pendragon.
that.
We'll get
Oh
into
yeah,
it.
no,
Yep.
yeah,
a
I'm
little
happy
bit
to
after
100%.
Pendragon.
Let's hear about it.
Okay.
So the wait is finally over for the Pendragon Cycle trailer. Daily Wire dropped it just last night. And this has been long awaited. I think they've delayed the release for a while as it's still been in development. And finally it's done. And I think they said it's scheduled for release early Christmas Day for their All Access members, but it's out publicly available in January 2026. Here is Jeremy Boring's caption just before we react to the trailer. As a teenager, Stephen Lawhead's The Pendragon Cycle reshaped my understanding of faith, courage, and purpose. It rejected the shallow, nice Christianity of my youth and revealed a kind of Christian whose faith was forged in blood and sacrifice, a world where the battle for king and country was inseparable from the battle for Christ and his kingdom. That story changed me, and I've spent years bringing it to life for the screen. This is the Pendragon Cycle, Rise of the Merlin, a new scripted series from Daily Wire and Bonfire Legend adapted from Lawhead's extraordinary novels. The cast and crew bled to make it. It is without question the largest and most ambitious production ever undertaken by a conservative new media company. It is also the most masculine, muscular work of Christian art since Braveheart, and it begins with a sword. So let's take
go
a
ahead.
look.
So here, it's Seamus Coughlin
Yeah.
over there. Here we go.
This land is in a welter of confusion. There are more kings than sheep, more princes than crows on a battlefield. All seeking to snatch what they can, when they can, without a care for who suffers. Until this island is ruled by one who wields both justice and mercy, there will be no peace.
For real.
boys playing the game of kings.
They say they have the Merlin with them. The Merlin died long before you and I were born.
I've seen what you can do.
This is where it begins.
Wow, that's a really well edited trailer. Like the highest level of production value I've seen.
Well,
from-
so this was made, Bonfire legend is Dallas Soninier. He made Bone Tomahawk. He's a very accomplished movie producer. Production value was never something that I was concerned about for this.
Certainly.
If I wanted to correlate it back, I know people are making the comparison to Game of Thrones, but if you get a chance, if you never saw the series, go back and rewatch the trailers for the show Marco Polo. That was on Netflix back in like 2014. It was supposed to be like their response to Game of Thrones back when Netflix first started dumping like a bunch of money into the, making their own stuff rather than just licensing their content out. It felt closer to that than, say, a Game of Thrones, if you were looking for a comparison.
Before we give our reactions, I wanted to read another statement that Jeremy Boring gave to The Hollywood Reporter. He said that the novels by Lawhead present a visceral, masculine Christianity in a world of conflict and mystery. It isn't saccharine or clean. In short, it is very much like our world. I'm so happy to share our adaptation and the work of our remarkable cast and crew with the Daily Wire audience. I hope he means people outside of the Daily Wire audience as well. That cast includes Tom Sharp starring as Merlin, and they also list Rose Reed, James Arden, Finney Cassidy, Miles Cloessy, Brett Cooper, Alex Lawrence Phillips, Daniel Fathers, and Emery Franklin.
Yeah. I did notice that there was only one shot of Brett Cooper in there.
Very short. I thought that she was a pretty major speaking role in the series, given the amount of time she spent in Hungary while they were filming.
Yeah, they built her a studio
so I was
over there
expecting to
record.
see at least one part of her speaking in the trailer.
I'm assuming that that's I can't speak to it, but that may be a political decision on their part there. Seamus, I saw you flinch a couple of times.
Yeah, so initially I was very impressed. The production value is very clearly high, and it's obvious that they're trying to make something that can compete with mainstream Hollywood. I have no idea why there needed to be a half-naked woman prancing around in her underwear. I have no idea why there needed to be a scene of two actors making out. I think that conservatives can't win the culture war without making culture, and our culture can't feature the devil's iconography. We can't use the tools that have been used against us to subjugate us in our own media. Porn has been used as a tool for political control. We are weaponizing people's lust to make them complacent, and the conservative movement cannot engage in that tactic to gain a modern audience, because if we do so, we've already lost. We've become the left. This would be like if 50 years from now, someone goes, I'm making entertaining content, but of course we have to put trans kids in it, and it's still conservative. Like, we can't just be progressives who drive the speed limit.
Well, obviously the comparisons to Game of Thrones are gonna come about, and that would happen regardless of whether they included nudity or intimacy scenes, whatever you want to call them, in the show. But that was such a short clip of that scene that they showed in the trailer. I couldn't tell, were they clothed in that scene where they were making out?
Yes.
They were clothed.
It looked like they were nude.
I couldn't tell. They were wearing clothes?
Yes.
And someone was saying oh, maybe they're married. Yeah, I don't need to see married people nude on screen.
Obviously,
that's the point.
The Game of Thrones stuff is it's incest. It's full-on porn in Game of Thrones. It's as raunchy as humanly possible for TV, and that was kind of new for the time period when Game of Thrones came out, because we were coming off of going from network television to streaming shows. They weren't...
Okay, no. It does look like at least he is not wearing clothes.
Well, he's shirtless from the waist up or whatever.
Yes.
Is she wearing clothes?
I can't tell. The way it's
okay,
framed,
if you
I
can't tell, then it's
it's probably...
I don't know what to make of that.
Again, so the thing here is that this could be the type of thing where when it comes out, it cuts from that right away, and they use the juiciest part of that in the shot to get people to look into it. So look, and when you look at stuff like this, you're going to get a middle ground here from a lot of with the amount of money that gets dumped into something like this. You're just going to have people that are going to say, look, and again, I have not read the books. I know you guys, you said you were familiar with the author, but hadn't read the novel.
I don't know anything about
I
the
hadn't even heard of the series until they announced the show.
So I just, when I see something like this, again, as somebody who's not religious, none of that bothers me. And I feel like there is a certain level of, there's a difference, and there's a certain, I get your argument about driving the speed limit, but the idea of like nudity and incest, and then what we see here, given that I don't know the entire full context of it, is that you're going to find people who are going to be more in the middle, who are going to be like, okay, like this doesn't bother me as much as this very clear depiction was disturbing.
Needless to say, Game of Thrones is just taking that like on a whole other level.
There's no argument that this is going to be on the level of Game of Thrones. I don't think they're going to do anything like that. I just don't think it's necessary, and I don't think it's good.
I'm merely speaking to the idea of comparing one to one with the with the nudity and stuff. And like I said, all the shows that are high fantasy have this type of stuff in there. So if what you're getting is like, and again, haven't read the books, people in a relationship and they don't show the whole scene, that's vastly different than, like I said, Marco Polo had nudity. Game of Thrones, lots of nudity.
Lots of the historical fiction shows
they do
this.
It's part of the culture around making that type of material. It's just the way that is. And I think when they look at stuff like this, what I'm imagining was, what would this have looked like to them if, like I said, they had Jeremy Boring talking to the Hollywood Reporter? What would have happened if they didn't put like a Daily Wire header before that trailer, and this was just shown to people? Because I didn't just look at it from the post from the Daily Wire. I saw that it also got picked up by some of these other general Hollywood channels that cover, anytime a new trailer comes out, they post it up there. And a lot of the people said like they were surprised at how good it looked for a Daily Wire production. So they're already working at a disadvantage if the idea here is to get the story out there. And I think that there is a clash here sometimes where, as much as they want to talk about conservative values, it becomes about this story meant something to me. And if he's being honest to the story, he's letting his religious values take a backseat because he's an artist first. And then you have to be willing to engage in the discussion of how much of a backseat are you willing to let it take.
The ultimate aim is for people's responses to just be, praising the production, not saying it with the qualifier, wow, this is really good for a conservative media company.
That's also a big part of it. Because the bar is unfortunately really low. But this is also, and part of the reason it's disappointing to see that with such a high production value is because we need to be trying to change the industry, and we shouldn't be trying to have the industry change us.
Sure. Yeah, I would say like maybe we're jumping to a conclusion. Maybe in the show it's edited very well.
Trailers are done that way to pull you in.
And I do think there's a way to imply, like, you can imply sex in a show or a movie without showing it, and do so in a tasteful way. Would
I tell you the story about David Duchovny laughing about the idea of gratuitous nudity because he said all nudity is gratuitous? Now he comes from the position of somebody who doesn't care. He goes, I mean, really, does any sex scene need to be in a TV show? No. So any amount of nudity is gratuitous nudity.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, maybe in the final product, it's not really in your face
also,
like that.
Look,
I just think we shouldn't have any of it. I think especially for a conservative company that's marketing itself as promoting family values.
But these companies now, look, in the age that we live in now, the right has become a big tent company, a big tent policy, and there are people who they're looking to appeal to that aren't strictly religious.
Well, that's why I was kind of second guessing the statement, we're excited to bring this to the Daily Wire audience, because I thought the goal, and maybe this is just a difference in wording, I thought the goal was to bring this outside of the Daily Wire audience.
Well, okay,
not at the expense of their mission as a media company, but to promote their mission. And another thing that I thought was interesting about the wording of that statement he gave was the emphasis on masculine Christianity. I wonder why that needs to be stated so strongly. Like what what exactly is that combating? Like compared to Hollywood productions?
I mean, maybe the idea is that like you don't get a lot of examples at all.
Like the examples in Hollywood.
Braveheart, you got Passion of the Christ, I guess, like it was a 2004.
But then for the most part, portrayals of Christians and the Christian faith in Hollywood productions have more to do with villainizing Christian characters rather than
valorizing,
rather than emasculating, right? So there's this huge emphasis that he's putting on like portraying visceral, masculine Christianity, and I just wonder how they executed that.
Yeah.
And why is that like the selling point?
Well, perhaps,
it's a selling point that was repeated like at least 3 times.
Perhaps we review it when it comes out and do something like that. Look, if I were them, I would have focused. This is just me, speaking as somebody who is not religious. And like you said, if we were to operate under the premise that what they're doing here is to try to reach to people outside of the Daily Wire's, current audience, is you sell it on the fantasy elements. Yeah, like you mentioned Merlin and the character and the story and the specific story beats, maybe not the overall themes that you're looking to touch on as a way to grab people in. Because what I could imagine for something like this is imagine that the best case scenario is this does really, really well. It's really, really well made. And like I said, Dallas Sonnier and Bonfire Legend, they've done great work. They have a great track record. But the idea would be that, 20 years from now, somebody watches this on like Tubi, and then they find out after the fact, like not even knowing what the Daily Wire was, that it was a conservative media company that made it because it had an appeal that ranged beyond just their typical conservative audience. And with that, maybe excluding the stuff that involved the stuff you're talking about there, but the other themes that they're talking about, whatever they mean by masculine Christianity, ends up, taking root in somebody who watches this years later, who doesn't have a preconceived bias about what a company like the Daily Wire means when they produce their entertainment.
Yeah. Well, you asked people for their thoughts on X. So what were the sort of responses that you got?
So they ran the gamut. A lot of people were like, so Raymond says, the trailer is solid. If the story gives the vibes that the trailer does, I'm so down for a new saga. The whole aesthetic feels like the Last Kingdom series, but more fantasy based. I really liked that series. I saw people compare it to early seasons of Vikings, that show, which went a whole different direction in later seasons. Some people considered the Daily Wire a non-starter. They didn't want to support the Daily Wire. Other people said that they were open to checking it out. Either way, this person says...
Is it really a limited series, or?
I believe it's a limited series. So it says, this person said, Iron Will Forge says the trailer looks awesome, looked good so far. Daily Wire has had some issues with their productions, some good, some bad, but this quality looks really good all around. Very good story development. Characters looked interesting. All the Daily Wire money seems to be paying off.
I think
this person says, if we want a contrary opinion, this person said, Dookie Pox says, this is a nearly shot for shot every single fantasy movie trailer I've ever seen, as if generated by a generic fantasy movie trailer generator. So here's the thing. Trailer making these days has become very, very formulaic. I've talked about this endlessly on here. There's a thing called it's every action movie trailer ever, and it's low bois, generic statement about fatalism, high visual effects shot. They follow a formula because the formula works. There's a reason why you don't hear trailer voice anymore. They've gotten away from the idea of the world. You don't hear that anymore. They go through phases, and if the idea here is that they're looking to pull people in with the push for a fantasy production, for the people who aren't conservative, this will ring to them as something high fantasy, even if they don't necessarily know what it is.
Well, and to be clear, part of the reason I'm so disappointed with what's lewd in the trailer is because I actually think the other parts of it do work well. It's clear that they invested their money in ways such that they were able to make a production that does look like mainstream Hollywood. When I saw the first scene of the battle scenes are not easy to do, and it's not easy to get that right as far as like a period goes, getting everyone in the right armor, getting those costumes done. So it's obvious they put a lot of effort into the production value here. I'm not scoffing at any of that. My concern is just about the morality of it and rising above the cesspool instead of participating.
Yeah. We have
20
a
there.
$20 super chat from High Voltage 75. For the record, Seamus's last appearance was episode 365, all the way back in May 2023. Okay, I was wrong.
So it was after
About
Roe
a
was
year
overturned.
after the Roe v. Wade
Okay.
episode. That episode ran 2 hours and 40 minutes and generated 9 crisis parties. No pressure. That's a
Wow.
pressure on you guys
Yep.
if you want to make that happen. The one thing I'll say, as for like my opinion, is this isn't my genre anyway. Like
Mine
I don't
either. High
watch
fantasy's never
high
been my
fantasy
thing.
shows or movies really. But for the people who are interested in that genre, regardless of what bias they may or may not hold toward Daily Wire as a company and their values, asking people to subscribe and pay for it is already a big ask, you know, because they already have subscriptions likely to the mainstream platforms, and they have access to this endless library of other content. So asking people to subscribe in order to watch is already like a huge barrier to entry for most people, regardless of whether they feel negatively towards the Daily Wire or if they're neutral or positive.
My hope would be that eventually there ends up being some type of VOD option for the whole season, for the people that again, I know why they don't do that. I know why the whole point of the business model is to get people to subscribe to the platform, but VOD would be a good way to go for something like this. Also, maybe this is just crazy, but there are a lot of people, given the fact that I'm in the entertainment side of this space, would be to do like a Blu-ray and a steelbook and
Interesting.
release a physical media version of this with high grade art to accompany it. Like if the
And
idea
they did
here
all
was-
of these behind the scenes videos before the trailer came out. That would be included too.
Well, here's my question to you guys, because obviously the fantasy genre has been popular. Lord of the Rings, in my opinion, is like one of the greatest trilogies ever made. I don't generally enjoy fantasy. I don't usually watch it. Obviously, LOTR is an exception. And then everyone was really into Game of Thrones for a while. I'm curious what you guys think about the current popularity of fantasy as people who keep up with pop culture, because I don't pay as much attention to this space. Are people still as jazzed about the genre as they were 10 years ago?
The most recent
House of the
example
Dragon.
is either House of the Dragon or The Witcher.
And there is another Game of Thrones spinoff that just got a trailer recently, but it's
Really?
kind of going
Oh.
the way of like what Walking Dead did to.
yeah, it's fantasy slop.
It's kind of like superheroes a couple of years ago. It's like eventually you reach that zenith, and it just
Right.
doesn't have that. When Game of Thrones came out, the size and scope of the production mattered, right? So they capture that in here, but size and scope of that nature in 2025 doesn't mean the same as what it did in 2012 when Game of Thrones came out.
Well, also, here's a question that I have about this genre, or I'm sorry, a point I was going to make. It was so popular. I don't know if you guys watched The Walking Dead, if you were like masochistic enough to stick with that show.
For
I
most
did.
of it.
Yeah, when I think it took, I'm such a loyal person that it took until like season 9 or something for me to finally go, why am I doing this to myself?
I think same.
Because when I enjoy a show, even if it really lets me down, I want to see where it goes anyway. But one thing I noticed is at some point, they kind of almost tried doing a Game of Thrones style thing where there were like a bunch of different
there's, like,
tribes
9
compete,
Right,
and some of the
right.
people, like that one guy spoke in Old English and had a tiger. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that
Like,
was.
It was like the fantasy genre was so popular at that time because of Game of Thrones that even The Walking Dead, it
jumped
appeared
the
to me
shark so bad.
so bad. And they were totally trying. I think they were trying to do a Game of Thrones style thing.
We have a couple more
Let's do that.
$20 super chats.
We'll move
Gordon Shumway said, Seamus, haven't seen you at the pub in ages. I know you've been busy. Swing by when you have a chance. I don't really drink anymore. I just go to the pub and drink non-alcoholic beers. I do enjoy the occasional shot. First round is on me.
All right, non-alcoholic. No, dude. Of course. I'll let you know when I'm in the area, brother.
And Hobbit said, while Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies are not as good as the books, they are, in my opinion, some of the best movies made, and they were able to show romance without topless scenes. I won't judge too early, but I agree with Seamus.
Okay,
That's where I'm at with it, and that's why I'm disappointed. Lord of the Rings did a phenomenal job of communicating romance without having to put anything lewd on screen.
So like again, we're splitting hairs here, but like, and I'm gonna cut the segment before this anyways. But
Sure,
like,
sure.
if the idea here is that they're embracing like that, and you don't actually see any nudity, and it's just them together, that, like I said, that is a world away from pure nudity and incest.
I see both sides of the argument. Like, this is making an improvement, but also, why do we need to draw any quarter for it?
And also, as someone, like, listen, as someone who does animation, who makes videos, I know that every single thing that happens on screen is placed there intentionally. Like, there's a reason they're deciding to show that. I'm going, what reason would a conservative outlet need to show nudity in a film they're making?
Also,
I don't think they should
to
do
be
it.
fair, it's only the first trailer. They actually marketed it as a teaser, not an official trailer, so there's going to be more.
Yeah, okay, so
I assume
that,
at least one more trailer that will come out before they release it.
that tends to be they should not release like a ton more trailers.
There was a trailer for the teaser.
Yes, there should
And then the
not
teaser,
be.
and then the
okay,
trailer.
so if a teaser is 2 minutes and 18 seconds, that's usually a bad sign. You want your teasers to be shorter, and you do not want your trailers to be of a certain length. That tends to be the type of thing where it feels like they're showing you too much to try and trick you into watching it. So as long as that second trailer stays around that same length, and they only add a couple of more shots, and it doesn't feel like they're showing you the whole movie over, the whole show over again, I'm okay with it, but I tend to be weary when they're putting out too much promotional material.
And relevant to the larger discussion about conservatives making moves in the culture war, I did want to give you an opportunity to talk about your recent project that you're crowdfunding called Twisted Plots.
Yeah, and we've had some amazing success here. We're less than 2 weeks in, and we are almost to 50% of our goal. So right now, as you know, culture and entertainment culture is dominated by people who hate your values, hate your family, they hate our way of life, and they've been slowly chipping at it and chipping away at it for decades through propaganda. And so what I've been doing for the last 11 years is I've been creating short, entertaining cartoons about politics. And now myself and my team have decided it's the right time for us to step out and make longer form content. So we're launching Twisted Plots. It's an animated anthology series. We already have the 25-minute long pilot completely finished at twistedplots.com. If you guys go over there and support, you'll be able to watch the pilot. And we can't win the culture war unless we're making culture. I've got the experience, I've got the team, I've got the track record, and if you give me your support, I will be unstoppable. Go over to twistedplots.com and support us.
It is in the description box. It is also in the live chat, guys, for everybody who's watching, so you can go and check that out.
But
All right.
keep watching PCC.
Yes.
100%.
Just in the meantime, you know? One of those people in the entertainment industry who doesn't hate us is Mel Gibson. And
Amen.
for about 7 years now, he has been working on the script for a sequel to Passion of the Christ, which was unexpectedly a huge box office hit. And it's supposed to be titled The Resurrection of Christ, just following along the story of the gospel after... Excuse me.
Want to roll it back? Start over?
Nah.
No? That's okay. Crisis
Thank you,
party.
guys.
Thank you, guys.
Always the best timing.
Do we get a crisis party?
Yes.
Yeah. This is our first.
Yep. Let's go.
What's the threshold?
$100.
Nice. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Everyone who's watching, thank you.
Yeah.
So this is obviously taking place after the crucifixion. Nobody is quite sure what it's going to show yet because there's no trailer, and they still have just barely started filming, only a matter of like maybe a couple of months ago. The big news, though, and it's kind of disappointing in my opinion, is that they've decided to recast Jesus in the movie. It's not Jim Caviezel anymore. They made the announcement
And Mary
earlier this
Magdalene.
week. Yeah, Mary Magdalene as well. The new actor who has been cast as Jesus for the sequel is someone I've never heard of, named Jocko Otonen. I don't know how to pronounce it because he's Finnish, and he looks very distinctly Northern European, even compared to Jim Caviezel, who is a blue-eyed white man. And now we live in these times where everyone has to complain about it. Like, Hayley Williams just had that song True Believer, where I actually wanted to quote the lyric that she put in there. They say Jesus is the way, but they gave him a white face so they don't have to pray to someone they deem lesser than them.
That is the lamest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, like intellectually dishonest and lame. We've heard it all before, but some people pointed that out, like, just to be Just to be cynical, one reply here says, Mel Gibson was like, I really need to appeal to my MAGA and red state base and make Jesus as lily white as possible. Why debunk the ridiculously narrow belief that Jesus was white? At least he browned Caviezel for the role before. This time he is in full DGAF mode.
It's called being tan, bro.
It's like imagine not worshiping skin color, right? That's basically where these people are at. They have no conceptualization. Here's the difference, dude. If I were to find out that Jesus's skin was darker, literally any skin color, I would still worship him. He's the Logos incarnate. These people, if he appeared to them as white, they would absolutely reject him with 100%.
Yeah, we have another 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. Great discussion about the trailer, mature, reasoned, and well thought out differences of opinion. Great to see people having a good debate without yelling. Very rare. Bravo.
It would be it would be good to hear the opinions of, because I saw, so one of the things that several people in the chat said, and I'll give them the credit on this, is that people who seem to have read the books, or at least claim to have read the books, seem to be excited for it. They said, I've read the books, it looks good to me. So again, there adds a level of depth there if you've actually consumed the material, but it's like, I hadn't read the Game of Thrones books either.
So sorry, I was
no, go ahead.
Going ahead with the recasting.
Can I make a comment on the book thing real quick though? So I'm curious about this because so far what we've seen is this teaser. We don't actually know the degree to which it follows the storyline. I'm curious like what they were most satisfied by. The costumes, the action, again, knowing nothing about the story.
We'll circle back to it at the end of the show.
I take their word for it. I don't know the books, but I'm curious what they were able to glean from that they thought worked. Yep.
So I will say it's a little bit distracting for Jesus to be this Viking-esque in the movie if they don't do a lot in terms of makeup and hair.
It's the same thing that happens anytime you see it. It's funny, we were talking about high fantasy. So whenever the set photos came out for The Witcher, originally, for the first season of The Witcher, everybody joked about how awful the costumes looked like. And that's like because you're not seeing them well lit.
There's a lot of work to be done on this guy.
He doesn't even have the hair. He's going to have to go through a makeover, okay? He's going to have to go through a Jesus makeover.
As you can see in this photo from The Passion of the Christ of Jim Caviezel, they put him in these contacts to darken his eyes because he's blue-eyed. And they also had him, I'm sure, like get a tan before the role.
Or it's because he had to sit outside for 18 hours a day on the cross while they were filming.
Fittingly, a very difficult production process.
This
Jim
guy
Caviezel.
better hope that it goes smoother than what happened to Caviezel.
Well, I was just assuming like it's going to be easier to film this one because you're not getting
it's not
crucified.
The passion. Yeah, it's true. That it probably will be.
Yeah.
It probably will be. I'm excited to see it. I understand why they have to recast Caviezel. It's sad, like you were mentioning earlier, you wish they could de-age him. Yeah. I'm on the same page. I think it would be really cool, but then obviously if they couldn't do it in a way that didn't look cheesy, it would just really ruin the film. And you can't have a resurrection story where Jesus looks 20 years older than when he was crucified. It doesn't work. So I get it. It is a little bit sad because Caviezel was great.
Right.
Was great.
Well,
Somebody pointed out, they said he also had a prosthetic nose.
Oh, okay.
So I mean that makes sense.
Controversial.
Now that I see it, that's not what that's not the shape of his nose.
Time. Well, my disappointment with it isn't even that I'm super attached to the idea of Jim Caviezel playing this role. And that no one else can do it, right? Because Jonathan Rumi is hugely popular playing Jesus in The Chosen. But
could they have gotten him?
Probably not.
Couldn't have
he's still
afforded him?
filming The Chosen. But
also, it would seem too much like a crossover, which is a weird
Oh,
thing to
they'd be
call
like,
it
it's a shared
crossover.
universe.
People would think it's like the Jesus cinematic universe.
Or something
but like
weird,
the problem here is now that they've lost Jim Caviezel's name on the ticket, this will reach so much of such a smaller audience. Like this would have made so many countless millions more dollars in theaters if Jim Caviezel were in it.
I don't know if that's true. I don't. So I see the point, but Jim Caviezel, when he made Passion of the Christ, he was on his way up in Hollywood. Like he was getting a lot of big roles at that time. And the story as it goes is that that's kind of what ended his rise to power in Hollywood. Was basically Mel Gibson called him and said, do you want to destroy your career with me?
That's right. Do you want to destroy your career?
And he said, sure, because he's devout and he believes in the message. And his career never recovered in the same way. Obviously, my first introduction to Jim Caviezel wasn't that. It was person of interest. And then, of course, I went back later and watched a lot of his back catalog, movies like Deja Vu and stuff like that. But his name being the selling point that it is, I think it's the story of the resurrection, and it's Mel Gibson that's the selling point.
I know it's going to do well, but I just think they're losing people with
You
this.
listen, you might be right. I think some people might be upset about it. I also hear what Brett's saying. A huge part of this is Mel Gibson and the story itself, but I definitely think there's a possibility of them losing money because Caviezel isn't there.
And then
I hope not. I hope the film still crushes. And I will say, listen, I mean, Jim Caviezel might have damaged his career doing Passion. I mean, it's almost certainly the case that he did. But whatever you sacrificed will be returned sevenfold. And frankly, that film is going to outlast any of the other films he could have been cast in if he passed it up.
Right. They also announced the casting for Mary Magdalene, who was played by Monica Bellucci in the original Passion. It's now being played by Cuban actress Mariela Garcia. I don't know how to pronounce her name either, who actually starred in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning.
Did they say what character she played?
It was Marie was her character. I don't remember her character from the movie, though. And then they have Mary played by Kasias Smutniak.
You're not going to know the names of almost all of the actors because they get a lot of them from, it's a lot of Italian actors, a lot of I just want to give you, if you want an idea of where Jim Caviezel was in his career when Passion of the Christ, I believe, was 2004. So think about this. In 1997, he was in G.I. Jane. In 1998, he was in The Thin Red Line. In 2000, he did Frequency. He did The Count of Monte Cristo, which is how a lot of people
now they're making The Countess.
Supposedly. He did, what was it? And then he did Deja Vu in 2006. He did The Passion of the Christ in 2004. He was, and then Outlander in 2008. He was a bona fide star at that time, doing movies. But at the same time, I imagine that if you ask the average moviegoer who went to see that movie in theaters now, and they said, who made that movie? They're going to tell you Mel Gibson. They're going to say, who starred in that movie? And they're going to go,
They wouldn't know.
I don't think they would. It might come to them eventually.
Okay.
But they're not going to know it off the top of their head.
Well, I was just interested in why this happened because obviously there's the concern about how to de-age him. I think they have the means to do it. Like financially, they're able to fund the technology that they need to de-age Jim Caviezel. I don't think that's the reason. There must have been something else that conflicted with it. And you told me that Jim Caviezel is actually taking a new role to star in Archangel, which is from Sony, set for release in November of 2026.
Yep, he's alongside Olivia Thirlby and Garrett Dillahunt and Shea Whigham. Shea Whigham was in the last several Mission Impossible movies as well. It was a Mandalay movie with a script bought by Sony. Look, I'm surprised at this because, like I said, Jim Caviezel was persona non grata, at least on the big screen, for a long time. But Sound of Freedom made a lot of money. Relative to its budget. And he has somebody in the chat had a really great description of him. And I lost it already.
Before you get to it, we have a 20 from Dr. Larsena. Seamus, is your comment about prancing around blank referring to the bull dancing a la Minoan culture was part of the book and she wasn't wearing less than typical sports uniforms, can't do it in a dress?
I think he was talking about the scene between the guy and the girl.
But there was also the
she's
other
like
scene.
Basically in a bikini. You can she's half naked.
The other scene was I forget which actress that was, but she was like scantily clad.
And then
I know it has.
Well, I want to respond to someone who said God created us naked. Why are you ashamed of God's creation? I'm not ashamed of God's creation. It is because the human body is a beautiful thing that you cover it. It is because sex is something that is intended for marriage, and you should only be desiring sex with your spouse that your body should be covered. Not because these are bad things or because these are dirty things, but because they're good things, and we want to protect good things instead of allowing them to be degraded by a pornified culture.
Well, relevant to Passion of the Christ, they didn't decide to put Jim Caviezel butt naked on the cross in the movie, did they? And it's not because that's not historically accurate. I mean, by all accounts, Jesus was probably naked on the cross, but we don't depict him that way. And that's not because we have a hatred or disdain or fear of the human body. It's just a sign of reverence. So I don't think that is really a valid argument. It's like when people make a false equivalency between Michelangelo's David and pornography. It's like totally different.
I did see that in the chat.
Definitions.
Exactly.
Yeah, and in order for something to be porn, I do think that there needs to be an intent for it to be consumed that way. Like the intent of the artist or the creator of whatever it is you're consuming to titillate or arouse, like that would be essential to the definition of pornography. And again, you know it when you see it. So
exactly.
I don't know if I would say like those parts of the trailer, I'm gonna call those like pornography. I don't think that, and I think that would be a hasty judgment to make before we've seen more of the project. But as for the Passion sequel, I am still planning on watching it. I do just fear that it's going to reach less people after this decision.
Well, it was more novel.
He's 57 though, to be fair.
It was more not the movie idea was more novel in 2004.
If only they'd gotten around to the sequel sooner, right?
Well, and I mean, honestly, it's probably better off now than say 10 years ago, because you are going through what they quote unquote call the cultural vibe shift, and with the success of Sound of Freedom, with the rise of studios like Angel Studios, which are putting out a lot of stuff like that is appealing to more and more people. I don't know if it's going to make the... Granted, remember, Passion of the Christ made $610 million, but that's $610 million in 2004 money. That's a lot of
huge.
tickets.
Yeah.
That's a lot of movie tickets to be moving.
And another thing to consider, too, is just what's happened to cinema in the past 20 years. The fact that theaters are not as healthy as they were at that time. I'm curious how the film's just going to perform by virtue of the fact that it's being released in the streaming economy.
We'll wait and see. Like I said, Angel Studios has this great business model now where they kind of turned it into a community effort. They were like, when they released Sound of Freedom, you were able to buy tickets for your friends and your family if you wanted to do that and pay it forward, which is certainly a very unique business model in the market. So we'll wait and see, and it's going to be a couple of years now, I'm guessing, by the time production is done, given the fact that they've just relaunched. But I will keep my eyes open for both the sequel for this and also for whatever Jim Caviezel is doing.
And I just want to mention here too that this is more of a broad lamentation, but I miss going to the theaters. I miss a film being an event and a cultural event, and it's a little bit sad what streaming has done. And I think it's great that Angel Studios has found a way to get their movies back into theaters.
I mean, still, just because my brain has such a hard time focusing that the theater experience is entirely like, there has never been a streaming show that has resonated with me the way the worst movie resonates with me in the theaters.
I know, it's a whole experience. Well, and I don't know if this is true, but I've heard this said that what Netflix will tell producers is to make it such that their film can be enjoyed without being seen, because people just play them in the background.
They tell them to talk. They tell them to explain things that they would normally.
I hate that, man.
The name for it is Tide Pod Cinema, because you're supposed to be able to listen to it in the background while you do your laundry.
Oh, not while you eat Tide Pods.
Not while you eat Tide
do.
Pods, which is bad.
Which is bad, and don't do that. We disavow that. That's hilarious.
Cringe or cute of the day?
Seamus, you pick. What do you want to see first? Cringe or cute of the day?
I'm not sure what is. I'm not familiar with this segment. We didn't do this when I was on last time.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think we did.
Is it a new thing as of 2023?
You know what? I've got two cringes anyway, so I'm going to sandwich. I'm going to do cringe, cute, then back to cringe. Okay. So the first cringe here I saw today, and this is very sad. This is Jared Leto going to he's walking into a Tron Legacy showing, or a Tron Ares showing.
I said, are you ready? How you doing, San Francisco? You know,
no!
Say thank you so much for coming today. This is your
bro.
What happened? Did I miss that? What happened?
There's like no one.
So Jared Leto did like a drop-in on a screening of Tron Ares, which is a movie he's in, and there's nobody in the theater.
Oh, all right. I did catch
That's
that.
why I would never want to be one of these like wrestlers who goes on like the convention circuit. What if you end up like with your own booth for signings and nobody shows up?
Thank you for the second party,
Thank you guys.
Wow, that was bad.
Yeah, I told you. I'm not even gonna play the rest of the clip, but just that was rough, man.
All right, so this gets into kind of what I was saying about theaters dying, but also mainstream Hollywood becoming less relevant.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do cute of the day. Here we go. This one's from D Generation. It says, Brett, cute of the day, Sapphire, really comfortable on my bed. That is a very cute cat.
That's a very cute cat.
That is a very
Squid
cute
mode.
cat. It's very sleepy. It's like looks like toast.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, can I mention something? Because someone in chat made a good point. This guy Andy, he's like poorly marketed appearance, fire the agent, and listen, I'm not giving anyone advice, but I think it is wild for somebody who's as famous as Jared Leto to not have had people that went in beforehand to ensure that people were sitting up front, or that
like the team would make sure of that, even if it's a surprise appearance. Yeah.
Well, it's like in wrestling, when the stadium doesn't sell out, they move everybody forward and down, and then block out and like de-light.
Or they put
the
like
top.
dummies in the empty seats.
Do they do
too.
that?
Like
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the second cringe.
This is.
You want to explain what this is?
Okay, this is a woman who got arrested at the Vatican for performing an interpretive dance.
Man, the women these days, they love interpretive dance.
They do.
What is the deal?
We're not getting copyrighted on this. Sorry, we're gonna have to watch it.
It's honestly probably gonna be like more bizarre without the music, which works.
Her complaining about getting escorted out of the Vatican.
The woman was so triggered by me that I was behaving completely inappropriately
in public,
in a shared space, and even more so in a sacred space, and someone wasn't thrilled about it.
I maintain this might actually be worse than the guy who started peeing on the Vatican.
Did that happen? Oh
recently.
my gosh!
It's like if somebody was in like filming like some type of influencer like dance content on a public bus, and they're like, they kicked me off because they're just a bunch of Karens.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's no such thing as decorum anymore. No one has any regard for where they are or what they're doing. It's like everywhere is your living room.
This is the world of guerrilla marketing now, though. Like this person, once she gets a large enough platform, she can just go to these public venues and be like, I have this many followers, let me film a video here, and then they get permission to do it.
She's obviously mental.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
All right, let's move on.
Okay, so Taylor Swift cannot beat the racism allegations, and it's weird because she's an avowed liberal, an acceptable, awful, affluent, white liberal woman, and still she is accused of being a crypto-Nazi. At least once a year this discourse blows up, and there's never any solid evidence, but you would be shocked to find out the evidence they're using this time. There is a necklace that she has now taken down off of her merch website called the Opalite Necklace, named after one of her new songs on The Life of a Showgirl. And as you can see, the design has these lightning bolts going down the chain of the necklace,
Look, they're gonna have to
which some think resembles the Nazi SS symbol.
Are they going to cancel Harry Potter because he's got a lightning scar on his...
Do you think that it stood for SS? Do you think
This is just the beginning.
Was Harry Potter secretly like in Argentina in like 1947?
Right.
No, that was his cover story. You know at the end of Inglourious Bastards when they carved the swastika on the guy's forehead? Harry Potter was like actually a Nazi and somebody did that to him.
Well, they just got half and then somebody stopped him.
He's like, yeah, my parents in Argentina.
His post says the apologists under this post need to understand how effing serious this is. I get that critical thinking is hard and not fun, but we're in a Nazi overthrow of our government and democracy. It is that effing deep. And somehow Taylor Swift is all wrapped up in it, and she's secretly in cahoots with the Nazis that are taking over our country.
Yeah, like you could get me to take your bellowing about Nazism a little bit more seriously if you weren't saying Taylor Swift is the culprit. That seems like a little bit of a stretch, even if I were to subscribe to your theory.
There's a little check into how the online left is doing. They're not holding up so well. There's also
There it is, Nazi Harry Potter.
amazing.
No way. They're
Even though it's-
they're like there were signs that J.K. Rowling was a turf.
Backwards. It's literally backwards. There's
It is
also
backwards. I agree, Mary.
this think piece titled, "Yes, Taylor Swift is racist, just not the kind you think she is. Her liberal attachment to whiteness is actually scarier than if she were MAGA," says the author.
What does that mean? What do they mean her liberal attachment to whiteness?
So here she sort of
It's a
contends
PhD,
with,
so that's all you need to know.
yeah, she's contending with the argument that the life of a showgirl is a magnum opus of white supremacy in Taylor Swift's discography.
What?
She says, I think that within the complexity is a more insidious and terrifying problem. Liberal white women's ignorance of their own whiteness. Is Taylor Swift racist? Yes. Is she actively, explicitly anti-black, a Trump supporter, pro-eugenics? I doubt it.
What?
But that's actually what worries me more. That there are so many liberal white women who move through the world never making connections between their whiteness and white supremacy.
All right, so this just goes to show she's correct that by the left-wing definition, Taylor Swift is a white supremacist, because white supremacist just means any white person who excels at anything. Taylor Swift is doing very well, and she's white. Therefore,
Yeah.
racism.
I saw you quote tweet, Mary, that post that went very viral that was like, we need to go back to 2020 levels of wokeness.
Yeah.
Which is this, right?
This
Which
is
is
it.
it's when
There
they
are
talk
still
about
stragglers.
how like lawn care is racist and being
Yeah, she was
clean.
on time to her show, which is white supremacy, I'm told.
Right,
Oh my gosh.
Right. So that this author is a straggler from 2020. She just didn't get the memo.
Yeah, I bet you they feel like they missed out,
Yeah.
right? Like, and that was going on for years before 2020. Let's be fair;
I was
those
born in the
articles were
wrong-
being written in 2017.
So these white liberal women include Taylor Swift and the majority of her fan base, according to the author. Taylor Swift is a white woman whose success relies on cultural narratives of the fragility and purity of white femininity while practicing zero interrogation into her own whiteness, and her fans run to her defense whenever this is criticized. And I did actually notice some of her new song lyrics getting picked apart and interpreted as racist dog whistles, aside from the necklace controversy. One of those lyrics comes from the song Opalite, where she sort of seems to reference Travis Kelce's ex-girlfriend. For context, Travis Kelce has long been, I think I'm allowed to say this on YouTube, he is a wigger. And he has long dated exclusively black women before Taylor Swift, which is kind of weird that he would pivot so suddenly and abruptly, but that was never addressed.
Vibe shift.
Except for in the song, cryptically. In Opalite, she says, "You were dancing through the lightning strikes, sleepless in the onyx night." They believe that she is referring to the skin color of Travis's ex-girlfriend who is black. But now the sky is opalite, referring to the opal-like tone of Taylor Swift's pale skin.
What?
Can already tell she's got
and
a
then-
bunch of Nazi memorabilia in a closet somewhere.
This lyric from her other song, Elizabeth Taylor, is a little bit more. I can see the argument here. It's from the bridge. "All my white diamonds and lovers are forever." She's referring to her white lovers. So
Well, can I ask you guys both a question, and really for the audience to think about? Have you interrogated your whiteness lately?
I have not.
Interrogated your whiteness?
I do it all the
But
time.
how do you go about interrogating your whiteness? Like, what are the steps that you need to take?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I need a tutor. I need someone to help me
Yeah.
interrogate my whiteness.
I think you just have to go in front of a mirror and like stare at yourself and say like, "You're a mayo monkey."
Yeah.
It's actually wild to me. I mean, you when you read that, all the things it's accusing her of, it's basically just not self-flagellating for being white. It's
Yeah.
literally all it is. And
Here's
she's
the-
not like some conservative person, right?
I'm actually the person that does at least entertain the idea. So whenever they race swap a character, I do sit there and think, I'm like, does it really matter? Like, does it? I know it does.
Because you know why they're doing it.
I know why they're doing it, but I at least entertain the idea from their perspective whenever it gets brought up. Because this was happening the other day when they were taught. Oh, and now it's gonna escape my brain. I was reading some thread last night about it was about Tom Connors from Midnight's Edge posted it was like a lunchbox or like a box set for the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that had the race swapped April O'Neil on there. And I went to the thread because I never want to read the thread from the people that, are in my space, because that's just going to be all people that generally agree with me most of the time. I want to read the thread from the people that don't agree with me. And they were like, look, they can't handle this interpretation of the character. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, okay, so I guess it's an interpretation. I know that it's not what April looked like in the original comics. I know that's not how she was written. I know that Judith Hoag, who played April O'Neil in the first movie, is closer to what the actual interpretation would be. But I at least can look at it from their perspective when they're looking at these things. I know they won't give you the same courteousness if you were trying to do it going the other way, but I at least have the discussion with myself. The point being is that they use that as a weapon against you when you do that, because they want to use any insecurity you have on the matter as a way of getting you to capitulate to whatever they want to do, at least in one specific context.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head where you mentioned you can't do the reverse. Part of the reason it makes sense to be frustrated about this kind of thing is because you know exactly why it's being done. It's to erase white people, because you could never do it in reverse. You could never take a black character and make them white.
Well, that reminds me, I neglected to mention I was hoping for a ginger to be the recasting of Jesus. They needed ginger Jesus in the new Passion sequel. But Seamus, are you a listener of any of Taylor Swift's music? Have you ever?
Oh, huge Swiftie. Yeah, no, big fan of big old fan of old T Swift. No, I mean,
I wouldn't judge.
I haven't listened to much of her music. I guess I've heard some of it on the radio every now and again, so I don't have strong opinions about her lyrics, but I think if her songs were full of white supremacist dog whistles, I probably would have heard it by now. I feel like I'm terminally online enough that would have been mentioned somewhere by some credible source.
Well, what do you make of the conservative commentary arguing that Taylor Swift is in her trad wife era and she's made this whole album about becoming a trad wife and like...
Well, if that's true, then she is a white supremacist, because the nuclear family is a white supremacist structure, as I've been told. I don't know.
Do you think that holds any merit, like that she's doing something incredibly rebellious?
Interesting. So it's difficult to say, but it's telling that people associate growing up and doing more adult things with being conservative.
Yeah.
Like just... traveling down life through a very standard path, but doing so in the way that an adult normally does is considered right-wing.
Well, I think Mary, you were the one who pointed out, you said, like, we're in a bad place if, like, getting married and having kids is considered conservative.
Exactly, and I saw people on the left and left-wing Swifties saying the exact same thing in defense of her, because she's been accused for weeks now of promoting trad propaganda and sending women down the alt-right pipeline. There are left-wing Swifties saying, like, guys, we're in a really bad place on our political side of the aisle if we're going to say that merely the act of reproducing is right-wing inherently. Like,
it's also a sign of just how deep how deep your political brain actually is, like how far you've kind of fallen into the sphere. Because I have a lot of friends who, granted, I don't talk too much anymore, but are, I still consider, as you guys know, like, I don't think anybody watching this channel would call me conservative, but, like, who are definitely, like, dyed-in-the-wool Democrats and liberals, have been for years, maybe even be on the side, some of them very much progressive, who got married in their mid-20s and they have kids, and they don't think about that aspect of it. Maybe just because they've never entered that side of the political discussion, but it's not a thing to them. They're married, they have kids, they're happy.
Yeah, well, I think that when people tell you who they are, you got to believe them. And when the left repeatedly says anything that promotes a normal, healthy way of living is right-wing, what they're telling you is our movement does not want to promote healthy, normal ways of living.
Well,
it's almost as if this is going to sound crazy, and I want you guys to bear with me, but it's almost as if one of the left's primary goals is to destroy the family or something.
Right. Well, the commentary coming from the right-wing voices about Taylor Swift suddenly turning heel and promoting trad wifery to her fan base, I think is lazy and not well thought out. I mean, just considering the fact that one entire song on this album is dedicated to Travis Kelce's penis is enough for me to write it off. Yes.
Wow, that's so trashy. That's trashy.
It's called Wood.
We used to have shame. We used to have shame as a culture.
Yeah, so I don't really think that Taylor Swift is the trad icon that some right-wing influencers are claiming she is. And if you're a fan of her, like, go ahead, that's fine. But she's not like suddenly
based.
I feel like it's a sign of a society that's sick, and I'll explain why. So when you're in the throes of addiction and you're trying to overcome addiction and kind of set your life back on track, the most basic of human interaction and behavior becomes kind of difficult and revelatory when you actually rediscover how to live like a human being again. So if the most basic of like human actions, such as like pairing up, getting married, and having kids, is suddenly something that's worth actually like lauding as so rare we have to celebrate it rather than just a fact of life, I think it's a sign of a sick society.
Well, it's certainly not as statistically rare as a lot of conservative influencers frame it as being. Still the case that most people get married and have kids. I would love to continue this discussion, but it is about time we get to some super chats. Shane H. Wilder said, my priest said if we don't get Seamus 2 crisis parties, then we have to pray the sorrowful mysteries in Latin. I'm fine with that, but is everybody else?
We got two.
I think that's great.
Because we already got 2.
Can you ask him to like have you do it anyway?
Yeah. Greg Duvier said, put a spoon-stealing leprechaun on, a pale woman that looks like a ghost on, and a badass inline skater on. Oh, hi, guys. Let's go.
Do you remember when, ages ago, before I was falsely accused of stealing spoons, which you know me, you know I would never do that, I did this YouTube video where I just crushed it free skating.
He did.
And people started making the insane accusation that during the moments where I was skating, that it was actually just Brett wearing my clothing and helmet skating, which you know me, you know I would never
We would never do that.
I would never do that.
You guys don't even bear any resemblance.
Nope, that's why it's so crazy that people would assume that.
All right.
Let's
That's
we
an
get a
interesting
20
theory.
there from Dr. Or no, did I miss one?
Did we miss a 20
no.
here?
No, never mind. I'm sorry. It wasn't.
Okay, I think we're
Continue.
good. Greg Duvier said, Seamus, let's bring back the Knights Templar. Wink,
Let's do
nudge, nudge.
one more.
Moon at Noon said, forking or spooning is better. Innuendo. Anyone? It's not innuendo.
Yeah.
We're just talking about kitchenware.
By the way, if you're wondering what's in the lead, spoons are in the lead, but it's a damn close race today, ladies and gentlemen. 53% for spoons.
I'm in the camp for forks.
Okay. All right. I mean, if
They're
I'm
just better.
If I'm gonna be honest, I'm team fork.
I like
as well.
stabbing things, not scooping.
Let's move on.
All right. So I think that a lot of media would have you assume that red pill content is for teenage boys and disaffected young white men. And while that is largely true, and narratives like the one in Netflix's Adolescence show would have you believe that, it is increasingly, according to women in relationships, affecting men in their 20s, 30s, sometimes even their 40s and 50s. And there is a new article documenting the experience of 4 women who claim that the red pill content their boyfriends, fiancés, husbands were exposed to online destroyed their relationships. And, you know, I do think that they could have watched out for some signs here in some of these examples, but there are other women who say they've been completely blindsided by this and they're already married at this point.
The internet is a terrifying place.
And then, you know, suddenly your spouse goes down an online rabbit hole that you never could have predicted. It's kind of a nightmare scenario for a lot of them.
The scarier version of this. The scarier version of this is a guy who marries a woman who makes a lot of money, and then she's like, I want to become a trad wife. He's like, no!
Goes full on ballerina farm. And he's like, no, like, I kind of wanted you to make a dual income.
Wouldn't it be really, really funny? That would actually be like a great skit. Like this guy marries a really rich woman, and then she wants to be a trad wife, but then he becomes red pilled because he's like, she should be listening to me and working, and she's not submitting and being a good trad wife unless she's making money for me.
So Refinery 29 has changed their names for privacy, but they document first. Kelsey, age 28, had a long-standing crush on Peter when they were in high school together, but she never thought that he would be interested in her romantically. Then he started DMing her on Instagram a few years after they graduated, eventually asking her out, and it felt like a dream. She liked that he seemed to share a lot of her values. Quote, he was very liberal, pretty hippie, and a vegan, and into rave culture and that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh. So, so the thing is, he's just into whatever the current
This was
thing
his
is.
starting point.
Yeah, he totally flipped, man.
He made me want to be a better person, she says. But about a year into dating, toward the end of the pandemic, Peter started to change. It began with his diet. He became a carnivore, citing an influencer named Paul Saladino who promotes a carnivore diet as an inspiration.
He just stopped being a vegan and became Red Pill. His diet.
Yeah,
went
it was
the
like
complete
overnight.
opposite. So this is a dude who doesn't know how to do any moderation. He just goes whatever the newest trend is.
When Kelsey looked up this influencer, she saw that he was anti-vax, and soon after, Peter started to parrot his views on vaccinations. And while his change in views disturbed Kelsey, she still saw the qualities that she'd fallen for in him. We still had good moments. We still laughed together. I was hoping that he would change. That's a classic line from women in dead-end relationships.
There's a
Like, I was
20.
just waiting for him to change.
By
We
the
have
way,
a 20 from Dr. Larcena. What she was wearing while bull dancing was quite analogous to pictorial representations from Knossos mosaics. Do Christian productions need to be both historically inaccurate and lame to pass muster?
Well, I mean, if they put the research in and that's what it looked like they were wearing at the time, then that matters.
Sure. What were you about to?
Well, what I was going to ask, because they start talking about the vaccine, etc., and so I'm curious what is meant by red pill here. Are they using red pill in the precise way to refer to the online men's movement, or do they just mean red pill is a generic term for right wing?
They are referring to the manosphere content,
Okay.
but they're saying there are certain entry points that have more to do with health, self-improvement, politics, and
Women,
Like,
they
he
talk
started
about
taking care of himself and rejected my ideology. That's
Right.
nuts.
But this happens.
Right.
We've covered stories where women Mary has covered the stories here where it's like the woman's like they start out maha and before long,
right.
like
and
they
end up-
they leave your vegan craft shop and suddenly they want to have kids and get married.
So she says as time went on, Peter's views got more extreme and his behavior toward her grew more controlling. Quote, he started trying to dictate what I should eat, saying that I shouldn't eat vegetables anymore. He also started telling her to dress more modestly and to dye her hair, which was pink at the time, a normal color. And in the last few months of their relationship, he began to make comments that were, as she put it, transphobic and sexist. He started to quote Jordan Peterson in conversation regularly and read books about traditional marriage and roles for women versus men. On one occasion, he tried to read a passage from the book titled The Case for Patriarchy, which resulted in an explosive argument. They broke up shortly after. She said our relationship just started to feel very one-sided by then. Like I had to please him. It didn't matter how I was feeling anymore.
That's the Tim Gordon book, I think.
Is it?
The Case for Patriarchy. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I see her side of things
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
She got into this relationship thinking like I'm dating this like safe liberal
He was a
hippie guy.
He was a completely different person.
Right.
They weren't
exactly.
compatible.
And no, they were compatible
At
at one
first.
point.
And
then
The
they
problem
weren't
is that
anymore.
this guy had absolutely no idea
But
who he
then
was.
He-
and
you
he just-
outgrew her, King.
Yeah.
His problem is that he expected her to conform, and
right,
when they were no longer compatible, tried to like make her into
Mm-hmm.
the woman that he matured into wanting later in life. you know?
Yeah, and I so obviously a man should try to lead a woman, but when you're in a relationship with someone, especially if you're not yet married, listen, man, there's only so much you can do.
Well,
if you
also-
outgrew, or if your values are no longer aligned, maybe it makes sense to no longer be in that relationship. But there's a lot to consider in that equation. It's not always that simple.
And how he was learning to perceive the idea of leading as something that wasn't even valued in their relationship to begin with, because neither of them possessed the personality. If anything, she probably had the personality of the leader of the relationship more than he did.
So
Well, I'm going to be a bigot here, but I just got to be honest. The understanding or undercurrent of male leadership exists in all male-female relationships, whether we acknowledge it or not.
Sure.
Like, women look to men for leadership, even if they're the most feminist woman in the world who would never acknowledge that.
Well, this lady didn't. She's
well,
like, I'm out of here.
in this story, I believe it's possible we're only hearing her side,
Yes.
and he actually was making, very normal measures to improve his life, his health, and he was also changing his views on relationships
I'm just
as
picturing,
they got
like-
older. She's probably just framing it as this like villain arc that in reality it wasn't.
She
And
says
after a
something-
breakup, who doesn't do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she's in a tough spot.
She's like talking, and he's just like, can I just I just want to bring something up. And he pulls out a book that says "The Case for Patriarchy." He's like, I just wanted to read you something really quick.
Yeah, he thought that was gonna go over well.
He covers the title so she can't see what it says.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he just hides the P in patriarchy. It's actually the case for matriarchy. So this next example is more telling, I think, of something where he's going down a rabbit hole and actually losing touch with the reality. So this girl who goes by Anna in the story says they started dating when she had moved to a different city for a work placement, and they were in regular contact and planned to be together when she returned back to where they both lived. After moving, she recalls having a conversation with him, with Josh, it puts him as Josh, about Andrew Tate, where she was deriding Tate's views. Josh told Anna that while he didn't agree with what most of Andrew Tate says, he had good points. This alarmed her. I suspected that he was taking Andrew Tate more seriously than he was letting on, and a few weeks later, she says, almost out of nowhere, he started ignoring her calls. Eventually, he suggested that they stop speaking until she moved back to their town. She said she was heartbroken. He started up contact again with her within the month, and things went back to normal for a while. And then that only lasted a short time before he cut contact with her again, completely without warning. The second time this happened, she decided to call him out on it, and he responded by admitting that he was deploying what he called a dread game, which is a red pill dating strategy involving uncertainty as a way to increase their perceived value in the eyes of the romantic partner.
Dude,
the female.
This is all right, man.
Yeah, she said, I told him that dread game doesn't work. He responded that it worked on his ex. It was your ex, so I don't think it worked. But I was absolutely disgusted. I told him that his tricks had ruined things with me and I was no longer interested. So there you go. Dread game doesn't work.
Yeah. And this is why, obviously, I take issue with a lot of the red pill stuff. They take issue with tradcons. There are certain incompatibilities there. There are certain things they say and do that are good. Like when they're emphasizing self-improvement, getting your life together, being a leader. I think that's awesome. When it comes to the weird manipulation tactics, like you should only message her at this rate at these times, like, dude, every relationship and interaction is different. And also, if you have to get that petty and measured with your interactions, there's something emasculating about that as well. It's bizarre.
Right. That they talk about having maintaining frame or losing frame. I mean, if you're that fixated on farming attention from women, you're losing frame. That's not masculine.
And these types of relationship salesmen have always existed. The pickup artists, the ones who have kind of existed to try and push for the whims of guys who maybe didn't have good male role models in their lives.
It's like the relationship coach that approached me, who told me that he's in an open marriage. And I was like, bro, you obviously don't have any grounds to offer advice to single guys about dating. You're not in a relationship. And he was like, you're judging me and you don't know anything about my life, man. You came up to me.
He's still wrong. Yeah, exactly. Who cares if I know that you're a married man who's propositioning an unmarried woman. So, but I want to mention something because someone in the chat said the red pill just gives descriptions and doesn't give advice. Listen, I disagree with the red pill on a number of things. As said, I don't want to misrepresent them. I think it might be possible there's a distinction between the pickup artist community and the red pill community, even though they're both in the manosphere.
Right.
So I'm using the term very generically, but maybe you're right. And so if that's the case, I apologize. My point is just that I think that in relationships, the way to be masculine is to be direct and not to be manipulative.
Right.
And I thought that was something everybody knew, right?
So that's what you do is you don't tell her you're reading The Case for Patriarchy. You just kind of sneak it in there.
Here were a couple of other stories that weren't included in this article that I found elsewhere. One was a DM that a YouTuber named Bernadine Bluntly shared with her following anonymously. So she said, this is a married woman. I'm married, but my husband is heavily into the red pill content and is destroying our marriage to the point where divorce is heavily considered. He is now trying to condition me to believe that it's okay for him to sleep with other women while being married to me because there's no emotional attachment, as he puts it. He's turned abusive and verbally and emotionally damaging. All he does is send me red pill content and tells me I need to accept these as truths. I thought I married a man of God, but he has shown me that he doesn't want to follow the ways of the Lord. I'm I'm so grateful for your content. It shows me I'm not crazy and delusional, and that marriage with true godly principles is still the right way. So even, you know, Christian, conservative-leaning women.
This guy's just a bad person.
And then there's another comment I saw in response to the article sharing these stories. One said, my husband started alluding to the idea that he could have anyone he wanted. I responded, don't let me stand in your way. He asked me what I brought to the table. I responded, my uterus and the continuation of your family name and legacy. More comments were exchanged, and I filed for divorce. I didn't know
sad.
I was auditioning for a role I already had.
All right, and now I don't think there's any shot these people are going to hear us because you're reading from an article, but I really hope, I hate to see a marriage end. I really hope they're able to work it out, and that this guy comes to his senses. This whole, like, what do you bring to the table thing is so ridiculous because there's a failure to understand normal male-female relationships. I understand, by the way, that in the current landscape culturally, men can't do anything right. Nothing men do is appreciated. Women are always perfect. Like, I get that, and I do get the pushback against it.
That's what created the pocket for this type of content.
So I'm not making the argument that this just fell from the sky for no reason, but if you're truly in love with a woman, the things that she brings to the table are obvious. Like, bro, you're the leader. You tell her what she brings to the table. Part of leadership is giving recognition where it's deserved.
Yep.
I fear if you're asking your wife and the mother of your children what she brings to the table, you're just too far gone at that point.
I kind of need to, like, record a skit where I go and ask Olivia this.
with smart glasses. So she doesn't know.
It's like, honey, what is it that... Yeah, I get it, but what do you bring to the table?
I'll say for the anonymous accounts, some of these women are mischaracterizing their exes, and they very well might be well-adjusted men whose values shifted over time and the relationship had to end anyway. Other examples, though, are cut and dry. These men are in the wrong, and... it is interesting that these stories go against the popular narrative that the red pill content online is solely appealing to single, lots of teenage guys.
Yeah.
It's well beyond just that audience. It's going on to, like, older generations and seemingly a lot of married men and fathers, which is more dangerous because more is at stake.
Those main examples, to me, they just speak to the type of person that's any type of ideology would have crept in and done something to them. For instance, the first guy being he was the farthest end of the spectrum the other way. He's a vegan.
Yeah.
He's you know, he's everything that is the current thing until he finds the next current thing, and it completely infects his personality. And if you're that swayable to whatever is in the culture, you are not a pillar for your family.
Amen.
Right.
And also, amen, totally agreed.
Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And I'll also add that I think a huge part of this isn't just going along with trends. It's in overcorrection, and to some degree that involves trends, because trends will overcorrect, as we've seen happening here. But as a man, I think a lot of these men enter these relationships with that very cocked, embarrassing, like, she's the boss style thing, where they're not taking a leadership role in their relationship, and they're either aloof or submissive, but they're not acting as men should. And then they feel a need to overcompensate for that later, when the reality is you just got to be normal, man. You just got to be normal.
Yeah, well said. Let's move on to some super chats. Shane H. Wilder said, I'll actually be attending the 2026 March for Life. I've been trying to go for a few years, but things just didn't line up. Oh, I remember I missed the March for Life, even though I was planning to go maybe last year. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But it was snowing. That's why I didn't go. And, like, someone was like, oh, a little snow is going to stop you from defending the unborn? How dare you? Like,
there's just the people.
Bro, it's not that serious.
People are crazy.
I don't think that the March for Life is going to tank because I didn't show up. Corey Anderson said, Islam is the religion of the devil, and something was a demon that misled people like demons are known to do, had to spell it that way because of YouTube.
Okay.
Oh, I believe he meant Muhammad.
Someone, oh, sorry, I don't mean to. I think Corey had another chat. That was
Seamus
interesting.
must lose his mind at the beach with the women in their swimming suits.
Yeah, no, dude, did you know that when they first started marketing the bikini, they literally could not even get French prostitutes to wear them?
I thought that was who they got to wear them.
No, they couldn't even get many of those French prostitutes to wear them. Yeah.
Interesting. Greg Duvier said, I think the Pendragon trailer was really good.
He meant the Pendragon.
Oh, Pendragon! He literally said Pentagon. I
Pete
don't know.
Hegseth just
He
released a
said
trailer.
Pentagon. Tells you just enough of what the story is about, but doesn't give away too much.
Well, then what they need to do is they need to keep that full-length trailer barely longer than that supposed teaser trailer. Otherwise, it's getting too long. Do one more.
Okay. Shane H. Wilder said, my issue is every show they do is only on Daily Wire Plus, so they're missing the point of changing culture by not opening it up to normies who don't subscribe.
I feel like they could do like Paul Roland made this great movie Exemplum, which was a Christian movie, and I really enjoyed it, and it was up on Tubi. Like I don't believe for a second that eventually they wouldn't be able to get this up for pay VOD on Amazon Prime. Like I bet you they could work that deal out.
Eventually, but they want to start it off on their own platform, understandably so. But it does kind of build in a barrier to entry for normies.
All right, let's hold off on the rest. Let's move on.
Okay, so just a matter of weeks ago, I believe we talked about this new up-and-coming Christian artist named Forrest Frank. And he has blown up in recent months. He has incredible numbers on streaming, and Christian music in general is exploding in popularity as of late. He's just one example. He was nominated for several awards at this Christian award show for musicians called the Dove Awards. I had never heard of it before, but he shared with his audience on Instagram his conviction not to attend this Christian award show and accept these awards in person. It is an interesting argument that he made. Jelly Roll was another artist that was nominated and invited to the same award show, and he criticized Forrest Frank's decision not to attend. But let's hear Forrest Frank's reason for not attending.
Where the line in the sand is between being in the world and not of the world. And as a Christian artist, you know, I dress kind of like the world. I kind of look like the world. My music can kind of sound like the world. So where's the line in the sand drawn? And I'm convicted personally that a line that I can draw is that I will not receive a trophy for something.
It's his song too, by the way.
Something that is from Jesus and for Jesus. And I was wrestling with this last year. I even said that on stage at the Dove Awards. I said, I'm still struggling with the concept of receiving this award, but all glory to Jesus. Every name will fade away, including mine, except for one name. But I feel a conviction to go even a step further and say, I don't know if I even want to step on the stage. I don't know if I want to step in the room. And so I have decided to take a stance of non-participation. I will not be attending the Doves or the Grammys. I hope to be an example to the youth that the trophy is our salvation. The trophy is that my name is listed in the book of life and I get to have eternal life. What good is a piece of metal gonna do compared to that?
Mary next Monday when I don't show up to work. It's like, look, I think the thing is, Mary, that my conviction is that I want to sleep in. And I don't think I need to come into work today. All glory to you.
This is so missing the mark.
It's not even in the ballpark. It's like, bro, you just don't want to go. That's fine.
It's quite presumptuous to imply that this Christian award show invited you because, you know, they think that you're some kind of like demigod, you know? Like they're inviting you because they want to celebrate that you made music that resonated with people and helped them engage with their faith. It's not that deep. Nobody was trying to, you know, idolize you in a way that's at the expense of worshiping God. Attending this award show actually just would offer more visibility to other artists because he actually won Artist of the Year at this show.
But he wasn't there.
But he wasn't there to accept the award in person.
The surfboard is so
He's such a prop. I didn't even notice that.
I mean, I think not having a clearly defined magisterium can lead to so much neuroticism. We even see with people who do have a clearly defined magisterium, like Catholics who struggle with scrupulosity, that there's a lot of neuroticism that can come even from having these clear boundaries. And so I imagine him as a very successful person where there isn't, like, he doesn't have the benefit of being able to look at encyclicals or look at into the kind of catechism we have, though, depending on his sect, maybe there's something catechetical he can look at. But my point is, I can imagine how without the kind of clearly defined teachings that we as Catholics are fortunate enough to have, when you end up in a position of being extremely famous, there probably is a kind of neuroticism with, like, how do I deal with this? Is this idolatry, et cetera, et cetera?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that it's a little bit of purity spiraling going on here. And Jelly Roll, another artist who was invited and nominated and won Song of the Year at the Dove Awards, commented on this video saying, won't receive a trophy for something from Jesus for Jesus, but will take the profits from something from Jesus for Jesus. Maybe I'm missing something here. He added in another comment, this is an interesting take. How do you think this compares as profiting from the same music? I love that you said, I don't want to get a trophy for something that's from Jesus for Jesus, which is awesome, but also make millions of dollars doing that same thing that is from Jesus for Jesus.
And I think the line here, and maybe this is what, and I want to approach this in good faith because I don't doubt his sincerity, but maybe what he's missing here is that the line with this is in his heart. It's good to be recognized. It's good that we recognize when people do something good. Now listen, I don't know his music. I don't know where this good. I haven't heard it, etc. But if what he's doing is genuinely a good thing that he's genuinely doing for Jesus, then the problem that would exist would be his attitude about accepting it. Because if he recognizes this is really about God, then I don't understand why it would be a sin for him to receive an award.
Or profits. There's this pernicious idea that it's somehow inherently corrupt to profit off of your art. Like the intersection of art and commerce really gets people going. I don't understand why it's considered morally bankrupt to make money off of music or art.
This is something that would come up a lot in like when leftists would start their own Kickstarters or their own GoFundMe, not GoFundMe, like Kickstarter campaigns. They would like go out of their way to point out how all the money was going like into the project and nobody was going to make any money off of it because, whoa.
We don't want to be accused of being capitalists.
Yes,
you know?
Exactly.
Well, also, I mean, think about it this way. If he was making art that wasn't directed towards glorifying God, would it be better? Like, don't we want people to be able to make money doing things that move the culture in a better direction? Isn't that a good thing?
You know what? I have my own theory as to why this type of music is taking off, because we had through the 2010s, there was just this slog of slow beats per minute music that just slowed down the tempo to all pop music.
Yeah.
And a lot of the
pop music used to make you feel like getting out of bed.
A lot of the Christian music, you know, some of it might be corny, but it's upbeat, like unashamedly upbeat and positive. And it's like there was a market for that because everyone's like, you know what? I'm sick of needing to take like an SSRI every time I listen to a pop song. I need a medication to solve my Billie Eilish problem. Maybe that's
a good point. I mean, to me, this just really grinds my gears. Forrest Frank appears to be humble bragging so hard in that original video. And then he follows it up with a response to Jelly Roll's criticism in the comments. And here's what he had to say to Jelly Roll.
Here we go.
So I wasn't going to respond to this comment because I didn't want to bring any unnecessary drama. I posted my personal conviction. It triggered a lot of people. I had no idea that was
He looks like an extra in White Lotus. He does.
I haven't watched White Lotus.
But now Fox News has brought it up in People magazine, so I feel like I'm inclined to speak on it. All I'm going to say to you, Jelly, is I love this question. This is the question
love the
that
swelling
kept
music here.
Me from making Christian music
invested
for so many years, because I didn't want to make a business out of worship music. I didn't want to make a business out of Jesus. And so I actually didn't participate. And then one day I felt like God was telling me to release, I'll call it my quiet time song. And I did. And here's the thing. Legally, it was self-produced and self-written. So legally, that money comes to me. What I do with that money after it legally comes to me...
We're going to get copyrighted on this music, too.
And he's going to make money.
I'm never going to tell anybody, because your left hand isn't supposed to know from your right hand. I might give 90% of my money away. I might give 10% of my money away. Somewhere in between, but y'all...
Maybe it's 2.5%. We may never know.
Y'all are never going to know that, because that's my relationship with Jesus. But I love this conversation, and I'm willing to be refined in any area. Anyways, I'm just stoked by this comment. This is something that I would love to figure out. And in the meantime, I'm a safe place for you, bro. Whether that's on the phone or on here on social media, I'm for you, bro. God is for you.
Bro, Jelly Roll doesn't want to talk to you.
Joel Osteen.
Jelly Roll doesn't want to talk to you, bro, and he doesn't want to make a song with you.
Joel Osteen be trembling after he saw this whole thing.
Oh my gosh, it's so infuriating. And you know, another thing I'll add, just because I'm in the presence of another Catholic right now, is that this is what happens when you think that worship music is worship, and that is a huge problem.
Dude, that's such a good point. Yeah, that like just
When you
the music is what makes yeah.
When you conflate the music with worship, this is what happens. You can't make money off of it. You can't get recognized for your talent because it's all that's worship, right? You can't make that into a business.
If we
and it's
get
true that like
copyrighted-
music can be a part of worship, and music, as far as I understand, it's like actually the only form of art directly integrated into the liturgy. But music itself, yeah, exactly. I mean, writing a song about something is not the same as worshiping it, right? You can write a song about someone you love. That's not idolatry.
Right, exactly.
If this dude copyrights our thing, I'm starting to flame war with him on X.
Oh yeah. Forrest Frank,
me and him are beefing on X.
We're starting a beef with you on a Friday.
If he
okay.
I can't like. Are there going to be diss tracks? Are there going to be mixtapes?
It's just like I don't mean to like needlessly throw this guy under the bus, but it just appears so performative.
It's giving youth pastor energy.
And he clearly wants to collab with Jelly Roll, which is good for his career. And if he just admitted that that's what he wants, like that would be fine. You know, like there's nothing wrong with wanting to have a successful career. There's nothing wrong with wanting to make profit off of the art that you make. There's nothing wrong with getting recognized for your talent. Like none of these things are wrong. It's just a weird thing to kind of like humble brag and like perform piety over.
Like,
you know?
so why wasn't this approach like, look, they've been making like Catholic and Christian and movies for years. Are they also supposed to not make? I mean, a lot of them probably didn't make any money, but like Passion.
Well, you know, with the way many of them are written,
Yeah.
you'd think they were supposed to not make money, bro.
Passion was Mel Gibson supposed to be like, whoa. Can't make any money off my movie. No, you got the word out there. You made a difference in the culture. You probably moved the needle for a lot of people who may not have had a good understanding of their faith. Is that not what your job was in the creation of this movie? And the money you made is just a byproduct. And then whatever you want to give to the church or give to charity or help others, that's your business.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I can't. Like,
And then there are all
I want to
these
see a Mel
comments being
Gibson
like-
version of this.
Like one of the comments that it's the humility for me.
I saw that. Yeah, I like this one. He says, "How do you
serious?
This person says, "How do you keep one-upping yourself with each new beef? Why does he keep getting in beef?"
This is why I have a problem with Forrest Frank.
Look, the song is unbelievably catchy. He's got that going for him.
The Your Way
yes,
is better.
it's very.
I can't stand the genre personally. That's my own personal bias that has nothing to do with Forrest Frank, but he just something about it. It just rings inauthentic.
Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, I better not get copyright claimed on this episode. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Yeah.
Let's go to Super Chats.
All right. Corey Anderson said, I thought Mary was the only never nude here. Then Seamus comes walking in. What are the odds that two of the dozens of you would be in the same room? Have you watched Arrested Development?
Oh my
otherwise
god!
You wouldn't know the rest.
Is that when
Tobias
I saw the first
is a never nude?
Yeah, I saw the original series, and like Tobias, like wearing the jorts.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing though, like me and Olivia, we fast forward through any scene where there's like anything,
Any
like that.
jorts.
like anything
Any
like
jorts,
that. Like we're
yeah.
fast forwarding through it. Like
No,
yeah.
he's like they found out that he's a never nude, and he says like there are dozens of us, dozens.
That's hilarious.
That's us. Brian Bledsoe said, highly doubt Daily Wire putting nudity in the series. I suspect it's just implied and fade to black soon after.
that would be what I'm. That's what I assumed was going to happen.
Yeah. Kay said, I'm not supposed to be doing this.
Thank you.
Well,
I
thanks
think.
anyway, I guess.
Hope you don't get in trouble.
Corey Anderson said, God created us naked. Oh, you already read that one
addressed
earlier. Shane H. Wilder said, Caviezel is doing a Hallow challenge going through the Screw Tape letters starting Monday. I kind of would like an animated movie with him as Wormwood. Would you do an animated The Screw Tape letters? That would be cool.
Listen, maybe at some point in the future. I'd never considered that, but we'll see where this crazy project takes me.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see where my career takes me.
Rural Conservative said, "Hi, Seamus. Love Freedom Tunes. Helping my dad harvest corn. What's next, Mary? Gonna give me shit for being a corn producer?"
I mean, if that's what you want to do with your life.
Glad that he loves Freedom Tunes.
But no, you're contributing to high fructose corn syrup, which is poisoning this country. But at least it can be used in fake blood.
Yeah, otherwise, how would they have made the pig? That's what they use for the pig's blood in Carrie.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, interesting. I only learned that today because you pointed out that's probably what they used on Jim Caviezel.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak specifically, but that's been the industry standard for a long time. Very sticky, hard to get off.
Bender McSimpson said, "Hey, Brett and Mary, here's some money to replace those spoons that will mysteriously go missing."
I don't know what you're talking about.
We don't actually keep spoons in the studio, so
No.
You don't.
I think we'll be okay.
I did in the old studio
Well,
because I'd eat cereal up there sometimes.
You do?
At the old studio.
Oh, okay.
I would eat cereal up there sometimes.
Are they still there?
I mean, for all I know, they're still there.
Or somewhere where they shouldn't be. Bender McSimpson, Slavic McGoth said, "I remember in the 2010s there was a lot of Photoshop corn of Taylor Swift in SS officer's uniform. Potato boy, meet pierogi boy." Oh, yeah. So since Brett is Polish, his ancestral diet is pierogies. For a long time, he refused to eat pierogies.
I ate my first pierogi at 39.
He tried them on the show.
Listen, I love the Polish. I love the Polish people. There's one exception to that. And his name is Luke.
It rhymes with Shuk.
See, but the thing is, I don't make it my identity like Luke does, though. Because I'm also Croatian, so it's even just as Slavic.
You guys don't look alike.
No.
For Polish people.
Well, which is really good for Brett.
Yeah, I've got that.
No,
going for
the Taylor Swift Nazi imagery has been around on the internet for a very, very long time because she's blonde and blue-eyed. And there are all of these infographics of Taylor Swift with a fake quote from Hitler or Goebbels, implying that Taylor Swift is the one that said it. They've been going around on Reddit and iFunny for years at this point.
For ages.
There's a Rumble rant here from McLeod 248886 says, I agree. Let's put it in Swift's fans' heads that unless she does poly with a trans black handicapped black woman, why did you say black twice? She is a crypto racist.
Was it trans black like Rachel Dolezal?
Maybe, yeah. So it's trans black handicapped black woman. Wait, does that mean she's black twice?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yeah, she's black and identifies as black, so she's trans black.
Okay.
Based. Trybeard said, "Shout out to the It's Based Game Jam. We're running from October 24th to November 7th. There will be prizes, and Ian Crossland will be judging."
I heard that.
I have not heard of this game jam.
I think Citizens United in the chat is a little bit behind. He says Joel Osteen loves this. Yeah, he's like hey, let's leave out the stuff.
Joel Osteen walked so Forrest Frank could run.
Yep.
No, I'm not making accusations of that level at Forrest Frank. Slavic McGoth said, "I was walking out to break at work. Someone at my work building heard I'd become Orthodox. I was just handed a Bible 2 minutes ago." Well, didn't you have a Bible to begin with? If you're Orthodox? I don't know. Interesting.
Maybe had one, but was also handed one?
Not that John Stewart said, "Welcome, Potato Man. Been a fan of yours for years. While I'm not religious, those hallowed ads are hilarious. Say your prayers."
Thank you so much. Hollow's been such an awesome supporter.
Nice. James Kodoridis said, "What's up, Seamus? From your Orthodox brother in Christ. Keep the faith and keep up the good work."
God bless you, brother. Thank you.
Corey Anderson said, "What is praying the mysteries?" Zoomed past that. So on the rosary, you're supposed to meditate on certain mysteries of Christ's life, and each decade, each 10 Hail Marys, on each of those sets of 10 beads, you meditate on a mystery that is basically a condensed version of Bible study on a necklace. I hope that helps. Corey Anderson said, "Do Catholics shame other Catholics if they aren't married and have kids by a certain age? Obviously excluding priests and nuns in this question." I mean, Catholics say a lot of things to other Catholics. Some Catholics shame other Catholics. Some Catholics don't shame other Catholics. Some Catholics put themselves to shame. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if their question is, does the church have an official teaching on, what age you have to be married at? The answer is no. But other than, I should be clear, you have to be above a certain age, right? But the church doesn't say like you have to be married by the time you're 30 or something like that. So
that's not a thing.
It is, however, the case that maybe a specific Catholic as a human might judge you based on your choices, or say that it is or isn't wise to be married by a certain age. But listen, God has a different path for different people's lives.
A lot of people would judge you for a lot of things, so I don't think it's specific to Catholics.
Mm-hmm.
Shane H. Wilder said, the red pill manosphere is just the polar opposite of feminism. Both are equally toxic. Someone make these people read Theology of the Body and the Way.
Based.
I think it obviously is hard to talk about the red pill because they'll try to split hairs about the different schools of thought within the red pill sphere. Like there are the MGTOWs and the PUAs.
And it makes people, the discussions get people really riled up on opposite sides of the aisle.
But feminists do the same thing. They're like, oh, well, you're actually talking about choice feminism, or you're talking about radical feminism, or you're talking about this and that. And like at the end of the day, you're all wrong for your own reasons.
I'll never forget
special reasons.
when I was gone, somebody left a comment about how they wanted to replace me on here because I loved Andrew Tate, and I was like, I don't think I've thought of Andrew Tate in.
Oh yeah, they said that you secretly worship Andrew Tate.
That's such a bizarre take.
I've the only times I ever think about Andrew Tate are whenever he comes up on here, or every so often the Spider-Man video meme will come up. And that's
had his
about
moments,
Like
when he was
humor.
talking about Meghan Markle. I think that was my favorite Andrew Tate moment.
That's the other thing is so much of
so
it
like
is
she's whiter than me.
Yes, so much of it is also you can't even share anything anymore because you share something funny and somebody's like, oh, did you know that person's actually a huge fan of Hitler? You're like, holy crap, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's just
you have to look into the background of that. That'll happen now. If some normie will share something funny that some comedian that has vaguely right-wing ideas believes, and then they'll share it, and somebody this isn't it. This isn't it. You need to look into this.
Hope
and do
this helps.
Yeah.
This wasn't on my 2025 bingo card.
Look,
friendly reminder.
Every time I get my bingo card, it's numbers and not cultural events. It makes no sense.
We have a 20 from Thumper. Seamus, the Blue Sky Challenge is my favorite episode. KH is that Kamala Harris is a bimbo. Sup bread.
I am so glad you enjoyed the. I'm so glad you enjoyed our video. Yeah, a while ago I did a video where I did a speed run of Blue Sky, which was trying to get banned as quickly as possible.
How long did it take?
I don't remember the exact time.
Was it Kamala Harris
took longer
as a
than I
bimbo
thought.
that got you banned?
No, I don't know. They didn't actually tell me what got me banned specifically, but I said a
you
lot
did
of
call her a
things.
bimbo.
I may have said some things that aren't kosher on either platform.
Right. Shane H. Wilder said the holier-than-thou attitude is just prideful. To Mary's point, his idea of worship is just veneration/dulia. There is no worship without sacrifice. Yeah, I think that's kind of where a lot of their confusion is stemming from, and just the fact that, social media fame is something our brains are not wired to deal with or comprehend. So
yeah, and by the way, I'll be very critical of a lot of the things certain celebrities say. I really don't envy their position of being famous people. I think that having an audience of a certain size does really bad things to your brain.
Yeah, I think it's driven Taylor Swift insane.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's brain is designed to understand how many people know of you, have an emotional connection to you, feel a sense of entitlement to you.
We talk about this all the time, and we usually get pushback on that because they basically tell you that celebrities are evil either way. It's look, you're not designed to be looked at by that many people. You're just not.
That's why she writes the life of a showgirl, because it's Now you know the life of a showgirl and you'll never know another.
Yeah.
Which is kind of clever.
So whenever the celebrities share their political opinions and stuff like that, and everybody tells them just act, I'm like, look, they're still human beings. Now, what they're doing is inadvisable given the fact that, you know, what they say has an actual market effect on the projects that they're releasing. But asking them to just not share what's on their heart is just never going to be the reality of the world we live in. And the studios now want them online. They tell them when you were gone, we covered this story where they're like, look, if you don't have a platform of this size, you're not getting hired. So what do you want? Like, you're like, they're going to share
Everyone
what they're thinking.
has to be an influencer now.
Yeah. And it's like I don't care anymore. Like, it's like if I'm going to go see a movie, what an actor has said about politics literally has no bearing.
Scared me, dude.
Thank you, guys. Well, that also goes for authors.
Same with Forrest Frank. I don't care if he beefs with Jelly Roll.
You basically cannot get any publishing house to publish your book if you don't have a certain level of followers on social media.
Yeah.
Like they're going to have that as the #1 requirement for authors in both like fiction and nonfiction books going forward. If you don't have an audience built in to market it to on social media, they're not going to publish your book. Sad, but it's the state of affairs we're currently in. James Kodoridis said Protestant pop bands just seem fake, and I don't know what else I should say instead of that. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the genre. I don't listen to worship music. Do you?
No, not really. No, I don't listen to that stuff. And by the way, if that's your thing, I'm not trying to like trash or anything like that. It's just never been for me. I've always felt that it has the unlikely combined qualities of being both vague and unsubtle at the same time.
You would explain that?
Where it's really over the top and on the nose, but you actually don't know what they're saying. Where the descriptions are all vague. It doesn't pin down to any kind of precise theology. But whatever it is they're saying like very loudly and explicitly without any subtlety. It's a strange combination. It's not for me. I tend not to enjoy it. That said, a lot of genres have bad trends, but still have some good songs in them. So listen, I'm sure there's some good stuff out there. It's just generally not what I listen to. And if you like it, good on you. If you get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, there's even some secular music that's starting to sound similar to worship music because worship music is so popular.
I think it goes to what I was saying earlier, which is like you're seeing the response to the slow plodding pop music of the 2010s.
I just miss like when pop music sounded like Kesha and LMFAO.
It was like upbeat.
I want it like dubstep. I like that. Like some real like club classics.
Like this.
Someone said Jesse Cram said Seamus is bumping Cardi when he leaves the compound.
If church music had producer tags.
La musica de Jesus Christ.
Churchaholics mixtape.
Oh my gosh.
Look holy.
Moses music.
Woman wants some more, Jesus. We the blessed music. Yo, Lazarus, you want to come out here?
Our God is an awesome God.
Okay.
No, I was about to.
We'll get copyrighted for the last part there.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Corey Anderson said, just asked my wife what she brings to the table. She told me to stop bothering her with such nonsense, and she's busy making me dinner. Yeah, like the proper answer is like dinner. What are you talking? What table?
Well,
the dinner table?
That's also, by the way, what do you bring to the table, or what does she bring to the table? Is what we call a when did you stop beating your wife style question, where baked into the question is an accusation.
Yeah.
You're saying you need to justify your position here because you're not sufficiently demonstrating that you bring value.
Yeah.
It's a very
It's
condescending
also, you're
thing to
parroting
ask.
something you've heard 1,000 times, which means it's not even an original thought in your head.
I was just wondering,
faith.
like, according to the Red Pillars, what is the correct answer to that question? I'm still waiting to find out.
Well, and here's why, because they'll say, what is she bringing to the table? They'll go, bro, you've got a job. You make this much money. You're taller than her. You provide for her. You protect her. What does she bring to the table with all those things? And then they turn around and go, women are trying to become the men they want to marry, but they don't know that men don't care how much money you make and how tall you are and what you... It's like, hold on, you can't have both of those things. You can't compare what she brings to the table to what a man brings to the table and then turn around and tell women, you shouldn't try to emulate men. It's an incoherent message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darth on the chat says that's actually a public domain song, so we could listen to that whole thing if it
cool.
played the whole way through.
Nice. We should make that our new crisis party
That's
sound.
such a good
That would be
idea.
so good. Can we end the poll?
Yes, we can.
I think it's time that we find out
Spoons
what's superior.
Spoons
have won.
a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It was a
with
close race.
52%, and for once the percentages came out even.
Oh.
52 to 48. Yeah, 780 votes. Spoons. I mean, I prefer forks.
The
but
people have
that's just me.
spoken.
So close.
I'm not like big on spoons or anything like that. It's an interesting outcome.
Jewish AF of Christendom. I'm not going to read that. Thumper, already read that one. Greg Duvier said, according to Fox News, Bible sales are up 41.6%. Religious apps are up 79.5%. Christian music up 50%. I think this is a good sign.
Amen.
As for the religious apps, like I think that is more so just because the apps didn't exist, and then they started existing, therefore the downloads went up. But as for the other stuff, that is good sign.
I texted my wife, "What do you bring to the table?" I'm eagerly awaiting.
You are bold, sir.
Eagerly awaiting
Why would you say
what
that?
she's gonna say.
If you
Alright.
imagine and just
If it's an emoji, I'm in trouble.
By the way, dude, if your wife asked you what you brought to the table, that would be such an insane insult. Like,
Yeah.
to anyone who's wondering why that's an inappropriate question.
It's also like you got married, so there must have been something appealing about the idea, right?
Like if you have to ask that, the relationship is in a bad place.
Shane H. Wilder said, Seamus, speaking of changing culture, did you hear about the Tiny Saints children's cartoon in development? It looks cute.
I saw a little bit about that. I didn't look into it too deeply. I didn't get much of a chance to look at it, but someone actually mentioned it to me. I don't know much about it, but listen, rising tide raises all ships. I hope they're able to make something awesome.
What's your take on Luce
Luce? Oh my gosh.
as a Catholic cartoonist?
It's not. I'm gonna be totally honest. It's not something I paid that much attention to. There was a lot of controversy around that design a couple months ago, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, was some of the controversy around like the kind of artists they hired to make it. People were saying there was.
They hired. I forget the name of the particular artist, but it was Tokidoki, the studio that they hired to do the art. And that specific artist had made like woke stuff before.
That's unfortunate. I mean, listen, it's really hard for me to say. I don't have. I guess it's not something I've really spent much time thinking about. I know it's an anticlimactic answer. Yeah.
I like that you don't care. That's nice. That's a refreshing change. James Coteridis said, Seamus, thoughts on Chesterton? Cheers.
Oh, Chesterton's great. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I've read all his stuff or anything like that, but the things I have read from him have been phenomenal. One of my favorite quotes is, poets have been mysteriously silent on the subject of cheese.
Pretty much everything that's ever been said has been said by Chesterton. Corey Anderson said that Forrest guy comes off like a charlatan, just like Joel Osteen. Okay, I feel less alone now that you guys are like seeing what I'm seeing, because his entire comment section is just like so pro Forrest Frank. I'm like, is he deleting comments? Like, what's going on here?
People go to the pages they want to follow.
Yeah. Brian Bledsoe said Evan Peters was asked about Tron 4. He said, we'll see in 20 years.
Yeah, that's about right.
Corey Anderson said, if a Catholic spouse passes, do they have to be celibate again, or is the cat out of the bag already? I wonder how different my life would be if I was raised Catholic instead of Protestant.
I mean, if your spouse, marriage is until death do you part. So you can get remarried after your spouse dies. You can't like go have sex with someone you're not married to because your spouse died. But you can get remarried if your spouse dies. Some people don't. I've known people who didn't do that. It's totally your choice, though. It's completely your choice. Mm-hmm. Unless there's some other impediment to marriage. Like maybe during the course, like you're old and during the course of your marriage you became impotent or something and you're actually not able to get married. But no, your spouse dying alone does not mean you're not allowed to get remarried. Yeah. Unless you killed them. My understanding, I need to double check this, but my understanding is if you killed your first spouse, even if you don't get caught or anything like that, like your subsequent marriages are all null and void. I want to double check that.
I don't remember the source for that either, but I heard the same thing. Yeah.
Wait.
So there's no loophole.
Yeah.
You can't just murder your spouse for no reason.
Yeah. You can't just murder your spouse to get a new spouse and then get.
Thank gosh we closed the loophole on that one.
Well, no, but it's real. I mean, this is I think it might be Aquinas' commentary, but on how when it said that Moses allowed divorce because of the hardness of their hearts, that was referring to people killing their spouses so that they could get remarried. So, I mean, historically, it has been a problem.
Daniel J. Corica said, live every day as if it's your last. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Good advice. Happy Friday. Oscar Regalado said, and Seamus danced on PCC before the Lord with all his might.
There was a Lonely Island song called YOLO, but it was all about not taking any risks because you only live once.
That's also, like a really interesting interpretation.
It's like basically like don't cover up the corners of your tables and make sure you don't stick anything to a light socket and it's like pull out all your teeth
Get
so
the
you don't bite your
Teflon
tongue.
out of your kitchen. Because YOLO. Shane H. Wilder sent us a 20. Seamus, I will be praying for your show tonight at Adoration and at Sunday Vespers and light a votive candle. Don't worry, Brett and Mary. I always add y'all and the Timcast crew to my adoration and Vesper intentions.
God
thank
bless
you so much.
Thank you so much.
That means a lot. We appreciate it. High Voltage 75. Oh, this is a good question. They want to know, Seamus, do you, when you're at the campfire, do you warm the marshmallow or do you set it on fire?
See, this is a no-win situation because everyone gets mad regardless of what you say. They're like, that's not the right way to eat marshmallows, and I have very strong opinions about the way you make your s'mores. Do you want to know what? There's some things about my life that I'm going to retain privacy on. That's my answer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Respect.
That's how I feel about it.
I'm just gonna guess. I think that you set it on fire, but that's just my guess.
Why would you guess that?
I don't know. I just think it's like very clear based on anyone's personality whether they set it on fire.
Wow, that is interesting.
Like I knew that Brett was a warmer, like a marshmallow warm.
Sorry that I like to do things properly and with care and discernment.
I'm the charred marshmallow person between the two of us. It just makes sense.
Well, if this studio ever goes up in flames, you know who to look at, and it's not me.
Pete Donovan said, Seamus, my favorite fellow Catholic potato baby, what up?
How are you? We got to stick together, brother.
Cancel Lincoln, the betrayal of 1776, said, nudity in entertainment is gratuitous and a weapon of the devil to separate our spirits from God and trap us in our carnality. It's low vibration stuff, and the more we consume it, the more we attune to it.
Beautiful. I can't speak to like the idea of vibrations or anything like that. I'm not sure if he's using that colloquially or in like a genuine new age way, but I would say if he's just using it colloquially, 1,000,000% agree, dude. And I appreciate you for standing up and saying that because porn is not a good thing, and it's also not needed to tell stories.
Yep.
It's the devil's iconography. Thank you for your chat. God bless you.
Shane H. Wilder said the King Henry VIII loophole. Yeah, we could pretty much name it after him.
That's what it would be. All right, guys, we're like right by.
Do you have any Rumble rants?
No, we're
before we sign off.
We are all caught up on Rumble reps. We are almost at a fourth crisis party. It's very possible. Yeah,
close.
We could get one before
Corey
we get
Anderson said, "I like you, Seamus. You're very talented, but you shouldn't steal spoons. Forks are better for eating potatoes anyway."
I mean, listen, that's very kind of you, and I appreciate you saying such nice things about me, genuinely. And you'll be really glad to know that I don't steal spoons, which is great. So, I mean, again, you know me. You know I would never do that. That's not something I would do. You know me.
It's just weird that you would even say that.
You know I would never do that.
One of my first posts ever when I when I had my new ex, because I deleted my old one back in the day, was like they had an episode of IRL where Seamus was supposed to be there and it was just a potato on the chair.
I thought that it was on St. Patrick's Day.
And after that episode, I went and took a picture with the potato and
High Voltage 75 said, thank you for this edition of Pop Culture Catholic. You're welcome.
Well, I mean, I'm the pop culture agnostic, I guess. So
you're still Catholic.
He's a pop culture in crisis.
Technically, you are Catholic.
I don't know what that means, but I'm.
What are you, like, non-practicing Catholic?
You were baptized
raised,
in the Catholic Church, so technically you're one of us.
Okay, we are almost at the fourth crisis party, guys, but we are going to do the outro now. So hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel again. If you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already, please and thank you. Remember to share the content out with everybody in your life that you both love and hate in equal measure. The more people that you share with, the faster this channel can grow. Seamus, I know you want to shout everything out and give everybody the pitch again.
So for decades, entertainment media has been produced by people who hate us, who hate our way of life, who hate our families, and even just hate our family structure and the entire culture that we exist in. And we can't win the culture war if our enemies are the only ones making culture. I have made over 600 animated shorts. Myself and my team have amassed over 1 million subscribers and over 290 billion views, all with $0 spent on marketing. We have the experience creating entertaining content that's needed in order to push back at the entertainment culture war, and that's why we're launching our new show, Twisted Plots. If you go over to twistedplots.com and give us any amount listed, we will be able to get you access to our pilot episode, which is 25 minutes long and it's already finished, and you will be helping us fight in the culture war, not by making shows that are clumsily done with ham-fisted monologues and speeches, but good stories where a conservative message flows naturally based on the premise, based on the events, and based on the jokes. Again, I've got the experience, I've got the drive, I've got the team. If you give me your support, I will be unstoppable. twistedplots.com.
Right there. All right.
Amazing elevator pitch there. Well, guys, you can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. You can help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived. And with all of this debate about marshmallows, I know I'm very passionate about the way I set marshmallows on fire, but everyone on both sides of the aisle is welcome to pair their s'mores with a cup of Mary's Ghost Blend, which is now available at castbrew.com. And that's all of the shilling from me for today. We have one more super chat from Shane H. Wilder. You can't eat potato soup with a fork.
Okay.
I mean, you could try. It
try.
would be difficult, but it wouldn't be ideal.
All right, guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch this show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, which is another great way to help the channel out. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at popculture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Guys, we will be back with another episode on Monday. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
See you, everybody.